Imagine this: a priceless relic holding the key to an ancient civilization, discovered not by its rightful owners, but by invaders. This relic, along with countless others, now sits thousands of miles away from its homeland in a grand museum. And here's the kicker: you can visit it for free, but don't be fooled. That free access is generating billions, not for the original owners, but for the nation that acquired it. Today, we're diving deep into the controversial history of how Britain came to possess some of the world's most incredible ancient treasures, particularly from Egypt, and how these stolen artifacts are actually a colossal financial engine despite free entry. Have you ever walked through the British Museum and wondered about the stories behind these artifacts? Not just the ancient tales, but how they actually arrived in London? Let's start with perhaps the most famous example: the Rosetta Stone. This isn't a story of peaceful discovery or fair trade. It's a tale born from conflict. In 1799, it was French soldiers, not British, who stumbled upon this monumental slab during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. But here's where Britain enters the scene. After Napoleon's defeat in 1801, the British didn't buy it or find it. They took it. The Treaty of Alexandria, specifically Article 16, stipulated that all discoveries made by the French would be handed over to the British as spoils of war. And just like that, the Rosetta Stone, the key to deciphering hieroglyphs, was on its way to London, arriving in 1802. Does an artifact found by one occupying power, then seized by another victorious power, truly belong to the final possessor? The Rosetta Stone was just the beginning. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, Britain's dominant influence in Egypt created a perfect storm for artifact acquisition. British archaeologists and collectors, often with official backing, conducted massive excavations. Many of these artifacts were acquired through agreements that were inherently unequal. Egypt often lacked the resources to fund its own excavations and was compelled to agree to sharing schemes, where the finest pieces invariably ended up in British hands. Think of the Elgin marbles, another hugely controversial case from Greece, where Lord Elgin effectively stripped the Parthenon and later sold the collection to the British Museum. This wasn't just about preserving history, it was about concentrating global treasures in London, often under dubious circumstances. If a country has a stronger military or economic position, does that give them the right to claim cultural heritage from another nation? Now for the financial heart of the matter. The British Museum proudly offers free entry to its permanent collection. You might think, how can that generate billions? The answer lies not in ticket sales, but in tourism economics and soft power. Firstly, soft power. The British Museum, housing over 8 million objects, is a global treasury in Britain. Having unique, irreplaceable items like the Rosetta Stone and its vast Egyptian collection makes London a global hub for culture, research, and prestige. This enhances Britain's international standing and influence. A priceless asset. Secondly, and crucially, tourism revenue. While the entrance is free, these artifacts are a massive magnet. Millions of tourists flock to the British Museum every year. These aren't just local visitors, they are international travelers who come specifically to see these world-class collections. Every single one of these tourists spends money. They buy airline tickets, visas, hotel rooms, food, souvenirs, and use public transport. The museum itself might not charge an entry fee, but it acts as the primary lure, drawing in billions of pounds into the broader London and UK economy. These artifacts are a self-replenishing economic asset, continuously attracting new money into the country, year after year. The debate rages on. Egypt, Greece, and other nations continually call for the return of their cultural heritage. The British Museum's typical argument is that they are the best equipped to preserve and make these treasures accessible to a global audience, regardless of their origin. But as we've seen, it's not just about preservation or access. For Britain, these ancient treasures are a sophisticated financial instrument. They are a perpetual indirect revenue stream, funneling billions into the economy, solidifying London's position as a global cultural capital, and leveraging the history of other nations for its own economic gain. So what's your take? Should these artifacts remain in London or should they return to their homelands? Let me know in the comments below.